Yorana, aloha. My name is Vehia Wheeler. I'm born and raised on Oahu, Hawaii. But I trace my roots to Mangareva and Moorea on my mom's side. And I trace my roots on my dad's side to Wales and England by way of California. I consider myself a person of Moana Nui Akiva, a person of Oceania, and I'm dedicated to the ocean and livelihood and well-being of this place. We have such a quite large and diverse territory. We decided to highlight as many people as we can from the territory. We decided to go to these islands and talk to people from at least 4 of the archipelagos. There are different communities, there are different ways that people live in this territory. So it's important to be conscious that there are different archipelagos and that we need to hear as many voices as we can. I was lucky enough to work with Matahi Tutave and also Sabrina Taputoporedani, who accepted to work on this research together around Ohinui and around people's livelihoods here. And so that was part of the first step of creating relationships with people, is that I chose to work with people that had already lived here and that had already had relationships here. We wanted to make the most of it as possible, and who would know most about the ocean in these places is people who fish for their livelihood, so fishermen, fisherwomen, and also what we could say cultural practitioners.
La mer, c'est important pour nous. Très important, c'est une ressource première pour nourrir la population.
Beaucoup de gens en Europe ou aux États-Unis ont tendance à considérer les États du Pacifique comme voilà, des petits bouts de terre minuscules, alors qu'en fait notre espace maritime est gigantesque.
Te moana no he prawe tahua o ira atara nā mātou te mo mahana toa ngā mua ya mahana maana tahua o ira atara nā mātou kare tai ya te moana ne toa prawe whakatere maateri ana tātou te māhoi
I heard that when I was a kid. My grandmother teach us, do not forget that mapeti motu, that pu'uru motu was your paterema. They feeded you.
Rawa I nā tua, tēnā mō mea whaura ana hei parone poti o hopu. Rātou I te hare nei nā tua. I te mea te ahi, ane mei hoa e unei ho'o, mea ewa mō whea tā rātou mea rawai, upuhi te ia. Upuhi te ia, mea e tāti te pai ohi te mea, tēnā mō puara mea na hei parone Friedmer. Nā roto te rowharati,
Te ie mahana, trapa e tau I te ie imira, mea reipa I te tata imine te ie uhipa no te ho. O wharere maua te temo pahi te e motonie prohiara, nā teiti mei tāre mei, hare mei rātou tomatou wahi taia, mea rei. Nen he mau wharere roto ho e au nen he hare e haurua.
Me tito I mātou hare atea. Nō me tu o tai ahi tā mātou ia te warawara rati e o tātou, e te itere mātou I pamaire e tutu mātou, te itene mātou te henga te sepe, mrui mea amuhi, me painu whāno.
When we went to the Marquesas, I did not realize that fishing aggravating devices, in English, what we say fish aggregating devices. When you hear about overfishing, I think about boats and things like that, but really the technology has quite evolved over time. They understand that overfishing is happening in quite an alarming rate. And they're seeing not only overfishing happening but they're also seeing the pollution that it's leaving and the trash that it's leaving behind.
E tokotonga te tu repo e mau mai nā tua mai, nā te tu pai nunui, ko amato e ko i nā tua mai, kai nginto, kai ngā.
This is such a large territory. We do have issues that affect some archipelagos more than other archipelagos. So in the Marquesas, they didn't talk so much about the CEP and nuclear testing, especially on their health. But when we went to Mangareva, that was one of the first things that people talked about. Because when they think of the ocean and they think of fish, they connect it automatically to the era of nuclear testing and the long-lasting effects that it has on people, and not only yourselves, but your future generations as well.
He taka wai tuku pāpāra o tuku pāpārua ua, a tauara he toko ana taero. Te taero rā a tauara. E rua ara, oti e korepa. Taera me tātou mi, taero ranga teika, taero i ana ke koe, e rua marama e koe e ora mai e.
The CEP, or the Center of Pacific Experimentation, was quite a cultural shock for people in this territory, and it changed not only the society and the way we lived, but also the way we related to the ocean. In the Marquesas, people were pretty explicit that they needed help from Tahiti and France in order to manage their archipelago and their ocean, because they recognize that that's their land and their ocean, but they feel like for the most part they cannot do enough surveillance to control what's going on.
Nous, la commune, le gouvernement, je ne sais pas si on peut faire beaucoup parce qu'on n'a pas de bateau pour faire ces surveillances.
We are also a colony of France. So who's really governing this place, you know? Is it ourselves or is it France? Or is it both of us? And a lot of people were recognizing that it's both of us, but is that the best relationship, you know? Considering the issues that were coming up.